Queens, my name's Tamara. Today I want to teach you the Braille alphabet and share some of my favorite tips and tricks if you're trying to read Braille with your fingers. So in this video, I'm going to cover the Braille alphabet, numbers, punctuation, and some easy to fix mistakes I see when people are starting to learn Braille that make it harder. Before we talk about the alphabet, let's talk about the Braille cell. The Braille cell is the maximum number of dots you can have per symbol. The Braille cell is made up of 6 dots, which I'm going to denote by using tennis balls in this 6-hole muffin tin. Thank you, Kayla with a C, for showing me this method for explaining the Braille cell. If you want to follow along, all you're going to need is 6 tennis balls or round objects that you can use to fill the holes, and a muffin tin with 6 open slots. The Braille cell is made up of 6 possible dots. Each dot or combination of dots, depending on placement, will indicate a letter, punctuation, or symbol used in Braille. The dots are oriented with 3 vertical dots on the left and 3 vertical dots on the right. So think of each Braille cell as 2 columns of 3 vertical dots. We number the dots from top left to bottom left, then top right to bottom right. So the top left dot is going to be dot 1, the middle dot on the left is going to be dot 2, the bottom dot on the left is going to be dot 3, the top dot on the right is going to be dot 4, the middle dot on the right is going to be dot 5, and the bottom dot on the right is going to be dot 6. Now let's talk about the Braille alphabet. A is made up of a single dot in dot 1, so the top left dot in our muffin tin. If we want to write B, we're going to leave dot 1 filled and add a dot to dot 2, so that creates 2 vertical dots for B. C is dots 1 and 4, so it creates a horizontal line at the top of the cell. To create the letter D, we fill dots 1, 4, and 5. That'll be the top left dot in the left-hand column and the top right and middle right in the right column. To make E, we're going to use dots 1 and 5. So that's going to be the top left dot in the left column and the middle dot in the right column. F is dots 1, 2, and 4. Top left and middle left dots and top right dot. G is dots 1, 2, 4, 5. So you have the top and middle left dots filled on the left column in the right column. H is dots 1, 2, 5. So that's filling the top and middle dots in the left column and the middle dot in the right column. I is dots 2 and 4. So that's the middle dot in the left column and the top dot in the right column. J is dots 2, 4, and 5. So the middle dot in the left column and the top and middle dots in the right column. K is dots 1 and 3, so the top and bottom dots in the left column. L is dots 1, 2, and 3. It fills the entire left column. M is dots 1, 3, and 4, so top left, bottom left, and top right. N is dots 1, 3, 4, and 5, so you have top left, bottom left, top right, and middle right. O is dots 1, 3, and 5. In the left column, it fills the top dot, the bottom dot, and in the right column, it fills the middle dot. P is dots 1, 2, 3, and 4. It fills all 3 dots in the left column and the top dot in the right column. Q is dots 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it fills all 3 dots in the left column and the top and middle dots in the right column. R is dots 1, 2, 3, and 5. So it fills all 3 dots in the left column and the middle dot in the right column. S is dots 2, 3, 4. So it fills the middle and bottom dots in the left column and the top dot in the right column. T is dots 2, 3, 4, 5. So it fills the bottom 2 dots in the left column and the top 2 dots in the right column. U is dots 1, 3, and 6. So that fills the top dot and the bottom dot in the left column and the bottom dot in the right column. V is dots 1, 2, 3, and 6. So that's all 3 dots in the left column and the bottom dot in the right columm. W is dots 2, 4, 5, and 6. So the middle dot in the left column and all 3 dots in the right column. X is dots 1, 3, 4, 6. So the top and bottom dots in both the left and right columns. Y is dots 1, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So that's the top dot and the bottom dot in the left column and all 3 dots in the right column. And Z is dots 1, 3, 5, and 6. So that's the top and bottom dots in the left column and the middle and bottom dots in the right column. And that's the entire Braille alphabet. Next, let's talk about numbers. Numbers in Braille are pretty straightforward because each letter for the first 10 letters of the alphabet represents a number in sequence. So A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, D is 4, E is 5, F is 6, G is 7, H is 8, I is 9, and J is 0. The way that we tell numbers being different from letters is we use a special character called a number sign. So the number sign goes in front of any character we want to turn into a number. The number sign is created with dots 3, 4, 5, and 6. So that's the bottom dot in the left column and all 3 dots in the right column. And then all you have to do, if you wanted to write 1, is put the number sign first and then put an A next to it. If you wanted to do 2, you put the number sign followed by the letter B, which is the top 2 dots in the left column. 3 is a C, which is the top left and top right dots in the left and right columns. For 4, you'd write the letter D, which is dots 1, 4, and 5, which is the top dot in the left column and the top and middle dots in the right column. 5 is E, top left in the left column and middle one in the right column. 6 is F, the top 2 in the left column and the top 1 in the right column. 7 is G, the top 2 in the left column and the top 2 in the right column. 8 is H, and it's the top 2 in the left column and the middle one in the right column. 9 is I, the middle one in the left column and the top one in the right column. And J, finally, is 0. So again, number sign first, followed by the letter J, which is the middle one in the left column and the top 2 in the right column. Now, let's talk about punctuation. If you want to indicate punctuation, including capitalization, you put symbols before or after words. To capitalize the first letter of a word, you put a dot 6, or the bottom dot in the right column, before the word you're capitalizing. If the entire word was capitalized, you'd put dot 6 2 times. So 2 cells of dot 6, then the word that you're going to spell. A comma is just dot 2, so that's the middle dot in the left column. A period is dots 2, 5, and 6, so the middle one in the left column and the middle and bottom in the right column, and that follows words. An exclamation mark is dots 2, 3, 5, or the middle and bottom in the left column and the middle one in the right column. And a question mark is dots 2, 3, 6. So that's the middle and bottom in the left column and the bottom one in the right column. Now let's talk about some Braille reading tips and tricks. For those of you who are wondering, this is the appendices from the Lord of the Rings that I'll be using as my example text today. And yes, Braille can be written on both sides of the paper using a embosser or Braille printer where the dots are slightly offset so they don't cancel each other out. Most people who are sighted will read Braille with their eyes. But if you want to learn how to read it with your fingers because you're blind, visually impaired, or just curious, what you're going to want to do is you run your fingers horizontally across each line of dots. Each line is separated with a carriage return, very much like in print. And for beginner readers, I recommend double spacing, so it's easy to track which dots belong to which line. Most Braille readers will read with their index finger or index finger and middle finger in their right hand. When you're learning Braille, most people will use both hands to track along each line and then move backwards along that same line before they move to the next line. Split hand reading, where your right hand takes most of the line and your left hand only tracks the beginning of the next line, so it makes the reading a little bit faster. I'll insert a demonstration of split hand reading here. There are many variations when it comes to hand positioning and reading style, and you'll find the one that works best for you. But I'll share a couple of the ones that I'm most familiar with. Some people will tuck all of their fingers in and only keep their index fingers extended on both their left and right hands and read the Braille with just their index fingers. Some people will use just their index finger and middle finger. Some people will use all of their hand. I personally prefer to read with the first essentially 2 fingers in my right hand and my index finger in my left hand, but I don't keep any of my fingers tucked as I move across the Braille. When it comes to moving across the Braille, there's a couple of different methods. You can move both hands together all the way across the line and read with both of your hands, and then track all the way back to the beginning of the line with both hands, and then find the next line and continue reading. But that is usually a little bit slower than what we call split hand reading. Split hand has a couple of variations, one of which is where you start reading across the line, and when you get into the line, the left hand separates from the right hand and goes back to the beginning and finds the next line. So by the time the right hand is finished reading the line, your left hand has already found the next line. Or your left hand can simply stay as a marker at the beginning of each line, and then by the time the right hand is done reading, you can move to the beginning of the next line. It's simply a matter of preference and whatever works best for you. Let's talk about some common problems that most people encounter when they're starting to learn to read Braille. Most people will try and scrub their fingers vertically up and down the cell to read the dots. That makes Braille reading a lot harder. Imagine you were taking a printed book and shaking it up and down in front of your eyes. It would make it a lot harder to read. Braille is no different. If you run your finger up and down over the dots repeatedly, it's going to desensitize the nerves in the tip of your fingers. So what I recommend is, even if you don't know what the cell is, rest your finger very gently over the cell and run it left to right or right to left to make sure you're feeling the entire cell. Another thing I see people do is they read with very, very curvy fingers, or their fingernails are getting in the way. So make sure you have flat fingers. Use the roundest part of your index finger because that's the part that has the most nerves. And make sure it's flat enough that the entire cell is being covered by your fingertip. So you don't want to miss half the cell by reading with pointy fingers. My other recommendation is don't use too much pressure. If you press really hard on the dots, again, it desensitizes the nerves and it makes it a lot harder to read. So use very, very gentle pressure and you're going to get a lot more detail in terms of being able to feel the dots. And my final tip is to use talcum or baby powder because it makes reading the lines a little bit easier. It helps your fingers glide gently over the dot and doesn't typically leave too much of a residue behind. It'll help teach you what kind of pressure is appropriate and help you move from one cell to the next. If you've made it this far, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have questions about Braille, please leave them down below. If you have any tips that I didn't share, also leave those down below so that we can share the knowledge. If you want to support the channel, you can do so by liking, commenting, subscribing, or engaging on any of my other social platforms. I just opened a Discord server, so there's a link down below if you want to chat with myself or other people in the community off YouTube. I've got a number of different rooms set up, so if you want to talk on a specific topic, you can find those there. But that's all I have for you today. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.